to the reaction post-fight press conference between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois. Now, a lot of people feel like this fight is already a done deal in terms of Alexander Usyk as the clear winner going into this fight, but not so fast because we don't know if that is the reality, considering that this was 2 years ago, the last time they fought. This is the only reason why many people are picking Alexander Usyk to win because of a result that happened 2 years ago, which, by the way, is controversial in and of itself. But even with that controversy, I think there was a lot of telltale signs that we can look at and say, you know what? It is Alexander Usyk who doesn't have the power advantage here. It is Alexander Usyk who can be trapped, can be susceptible to any degree, okay, can get knocked out, but he is the more technical fighter. And that is the only reason why many people are citing him to win because of his technicality, because of his ring savviness, because of his ring IQ, more importantly. Okay, that's the important thing to understand about this, right? There is a ring IQ that he has in terms of being able to dictate where this fight goes. And primarily, those are one of the first things that you have to be very careful about with this fight with Alexander Usyk. You cannot allow him to dictate the pace. Marty Miller, shout out to you, my man, on the morning top of the hour. Right here, it is currently 6:36 a.m. out here in the West Coast, and as such, we are here to react to not only Usyk versus Daniel Dubois, but we got some UFC 318 talk as well, right? Did you guys see the promo for Dustin Poirier, right? The countdown show. Now, obviously, the countdown shows usually feature the co-main event and the main event. This time, not so much, right? Did you know that there was nobody else featured on this other than Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier? And that's not always the case. Obviously, in some cases, the co-main event is the focal point of the whole entire storyline as well. Not this time, top heavy, boxing card style, and that's that. Marty Miller says, did you know Usyk has a grappling background? Oh, yeah. And you know what? That doesn't surprise me as much, right? Because obviously he's Ukrainian, and Ukrainians, even though they are also big into boxing, that also extends to other combat sports. Now, for example, when you look at, let's say, Vladimir Klitschko's, the Klitschko brothers, many people don't know that these two guys have had a kickboxing background. They fought in kickboxing. And you know what? Let me tell you, speaking of kickboxing, it is how many years now? So 2010, what is that? 15 years. Wow. It's been 15 years since I won my amateur Muay Thai title, July 17, 2010. Matter of fact, the date is literally right there, right? Look at that right there. The date is literally right there. That was in Salida, California, July. July of 2010 was when I won that Muay Thai trophy. So a little throwback right there. Marty Miller says, I think he talked about having an MMA fight. He did. And that was against Jake Paul. He's actually thinking about fighting Jake Paul in an MMA fight. Now, him and Jake Paul, I got to tell you, that would actually be an even MMA fight. And let me explain why. So you have an American athlete in Jake Paul, and I know a lot of people don't like it when I say that, but when I mean American athlete, I mean somebody that grew up doing wrestling, playing football to a certain capacity, or just going outside and shooting hoops in a basketball court. Because I tell you what, there's certain countries that really don't care about basketball, right? And not in the way that we do in the United States. because obviously there are basketball parks all over the place. So yeah, that kind of formulates who you are as an athlete growing up, what kind of sport you grew up doing. For example, the Europeans, they all grew up doing soccer, right? Sometimes rugby, right? Whereas Jake Paul, he grew up wrestling, playing football, uh, all of that, right? So that's what I mean by American athlete, but more importantly, a wrestler. So coming from that wrestling background, that will help a lot in mixed martial arts. It certainly helped him in boxing. I think that it developed a certain, muscle in his power and his firepower that he has in order to knock dudes out in the way that he did. So, okay, so there's that. There's a grappling aspect of it. Obviously, the Ukrainians, they're very big into Sambo, very similar to the other Russians and the Dagestanis. Because you got to remember, when it comes to fight culture and technique, the Dagestanis, the Ukrainians, the Russians, the Georgians are basically identical in their training methods. The only difference is cultural practice, sometimes religious practice, or regional practices that can sometimes differ from one athlete to another. So there's that with Alexander Usyk, right? There's that mixed background that he has along with boxing. Now, why would Usyk not want to fight Jake Paul in boxing? Well, let's be honest, right? Jake Paul can be a dangerous outing for anybody. I literally mean that. Like, I mean anybody, right? That also includes Usyk. Sometimes all you need is just that one shot to take you out, and next thing you know, we have another upset in our hands, and it's going to happen over and over and over again, right? You've seen it with Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas back in the day. You've seen it with Holly Holmes and Ronda Rousey. Um, 10 years ago. It's going to be 10 years ago till the date of November. If you really put that in perspective, which is crazy to think about. 10 years ago was when that fight had happened. So upsets happen. And guess what? It's not going to be any different this weekend because my prediction, full blown, flat out, with no compromising nature to it, is that I'm going to be rooting for Daniel Dubois to win. I think he has every element that he needs to win. And I know a lot of people are going to differ and think otherwise, but I'm going to give you some reasons if you stick and stay tuned to the stream. Because I know a lot of people are looking at the IQ, the uh, boxing prowess, and propensity to be able to fight at his own range and at his own, what's the word I'm looking for here? At his own accord, right? That's what Alexander Usyk can do. But Daniel Dubois has a way to offset that. And if you feel any different, let me know on the comment section below because I would like to get your take on it. I'm going for Daniel Dubois in this one unapologetically. I think England right now has the best fighting heavyweights in the world, and that includes MMA and boxing, right? So they say that the heavyweight division is lacking right now, right? Well, all right, let's take a look at Mick Parkin, undefeated. Then uh, you got Tom Aspinall on top, and then you have Phil DeFries. Let's not forget about Phil DeFries. This guy is kicking butt out there in KSW in Poland, right? He's also a heavyweight champion there, and I believe he's like on a 10 fight winning streak right now, or maybe even more. And then on top of that, yeah, he's been unbeatable as of late. Doesn't have a perfect record, right? I mean, what heavyweight truly does, other than John Jones, and that's the reason why many people are sort of picking at the reason of him cherry picking rather than actually fighting the people that needs to be fought in front of him, right? Uh, but nonetheless, you can't argue yet. They have the top heavyweights right now in boxing as well. Obviously, aside from Anthony Joshua, there's obviously Daniel Dubois, there's Tyson Fury. He's still up there, right? And you heard Usyk during the week. What did he say? He said that it is Tyson Fury that gave me my hardest fight. What else is going on in this weekend? So I didn't know they had a Dallas Cowboys stadium fight this weekend. I believe it is against, I forgot the dude's name, Bam, I believe. It's a matchroom fight, surprisingly. So it is Queensberry Frank. promotion this week that really shines the most out of everybody, right? But then also on top of that, Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios. You know my thoughts on that. I've made videos on it. I've mentioned plenty of times that I don't like this fight. Obviously, it is just Manny Pacquiao trying to get a payday. At 46 years old, you're fighting at, what is it, 147 pounds, which is absolutely insane, right? And highly unrecommended to the max. Really highly unrecommended. But you never know. I mean, perhaps maybe he'll pull off something here that we may be shocked by. But on any regard, that's what we have for this weekend. UFC 318, Usyk versus Daniel Dubois, and then Manny Pacquiao's fight, and yeah, UFC 318, which is Dustin Poirier's fight. So a very busy weekend if you follow all the combat sports. But I tell you what, this weekend I will be going live for the Usyk and the Dubois fight, and then I'm going to live stream all the way at nighttime until UFC 318. So it's going to be a full day marathon. I'm going to be here for the long run, and we're going to, yeah, stream all night long. But if you happen to miss it, you can come back and rewatch it, because guess what I'm going to have in the process of that? I'm going to have timestamps. You guys know that I'm very organized now in time stamping a lot of my live streams. So yeah, every moment you're going to be able to capture it, and I'm going to be able to capture it for you. All you got to do is look in the description down below, and we will get right on to that. So, all right. So let's see here. Oh, Ruiz says hello. Hello. Let me know what part of the world you are from, and also write on the comment section below. Yeah, what part of the world you are from, and yeah, what do you think about this weekend's fights? If you have any, particular opinion on these matters at hand. All right. So, how are you doing? Doing very well. Doing very well. I hope you are doing as well. So, shout outs to everybody that is in here. And yeah, man, it's going to be an exciting weekend from London to New Orleans to Las Vegas, obviously, where all the fights are going to be at. But yeah, everyone seems to agree with you picking Max. Really, when you mean everyone, Marty Miller, do you mean the fans, or the majority of the fans within the sample that you have gathered by your own anecdotal evidence, or do you also mean a combination of what I just said, but also with fighters as well? And if also it includes fighters, let me know what fighters have picked Max Holloway to win this one, right? Because you always got to remember, right? When fighters pick certain fights. And you know what? This also includes myself. If, let's say, I know a guy or I've trained with a guy, please understand there's going to be some biasness about that, right? Like, for example, Hamza Shiraz getting the win last weekend, right? Uh, am I a genius for picking that? No, I'm not. I'm not a boxing genius for picking that, because obviously there's an inherent bias to why I picked him. So it's not necessarily that, okay, I saw something here that nobody else saw. But yeah, okay, so Marty Miller says, I rewatched your last fight yesterday, and it was basically just a back and forth striking match. You go, I go. Okay, I understand what you mean by, the you go, I go type of striking match. Marty Miller says, Dustin needs to mix in takedowns and clinch in that fight. Okay, so basically a much more mixed martial arts savvy fight. I agree. And then he also says, I'm talking about most of MMA media is picking Max. Okay. Okay, so most of MMA media. All right. So we can I think we can take that bet as, I'm sorry, I think we could, yeah, I think we can take that into consideration. All right. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why you can take that into consideration, because MMA media is not biased, right? There is a certain portion of MMA media, such as Nina Drama, sometimes MMA Guru, if let's say you're dealing with Drickus Duplessis or Team Tom Aspinall, all those guys, right? So there's an inherent bias with these quote unquote media members. But when you're talking about media members from Sherdog, MMA Fighting, who else is a candidate in this example? MMA Junkie, John Morgan. Although many people do cite John Morgan as inherently biased towards Ali Abdelaziz and Team Dominance in his fighters, and that's primarily because how about this, right? The wife of John Morgan works as a PR agent for Dominance MMA, right? And I don't know if many people know that, but very few people in the industry know that, right? I've known that for a long time because I'm very familiar with a lot of Ali's fighters and things of that nature. So, yeah, that you see the connection in that, right? But what, not to get off track, what I'm saying is that some MMA media members are inherently biased and some aren't. So, yes, we can take this pick into consideration. Now, why I'm elaborating on that is because a lot of people are going to have emotional fallacies about this fight, right? Dustin Poirier won twice. It's his retirement fight. And as a result of that, it seems logical that he's going to win this fight. Well, not so fast. Here's the biggest factor of why I don't think Max Holloway is going to win this fight. Are you ready for this? I need you guys to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you want to hear why I don't think Dustin Poirier is going to win this fight and why Max is going to trample, excuse me, why Max is going to trample all over him. I need one more like button, and then I'm going to explain on that. But in the meantime, yeah, just one more like button, and then we'll go and into the Max Holloway win, why he wins, and why this is easy work for him. Okay, but in the meantime, I'm going to elaborate on the press conference that happened with Usyk and Dubois. Right, Usyk looked stoic, looked normal as usual, but I tell you what, I see a little bit of some nervousness in Usyk. Right, Daniel Dubois is locked in. He's locked in, focused, but in the type of focus to where it seems he's up on something that many of us don't know. That's what I'm talking about, right? Uh, Marty Miller says trample. Wow, that's a serious take, brother. Yeah, man. I honestly do think that because look, okay, so I'll say it right now. I'll explain right now why Max is going to win, right? Because he hasn't taken as much damage. Okay, so take this into consideration and take this into a serious factor. Hasn't taken that much damage in his career. He also doesn't spar, which, by the way, I got to tell you is very smart, especially for a guy at his level. If you're an amateur and you're a virgin when it comes to getting hit, you haven't gotten your cherry popped in terms of your nose being punched or your face getting hit, or just really learning how to dodge and slip away from punches, right? If you haven't learned that yet, maybe sparring is important for you. But when you are at the championship level of that of Dustin Poirier, that of Max Holloway, that of John Jones, I don't think it's that important. Unless, of course, your sparring consists of grappling heavy and less trauma to the head, but also boxing heavy and less trauma to the head due to the propensity and the defensive prowess that you may possess. So that's when sparring is okay. What does Max do? He doesn't do barely any sparring, if any at all. Wait, this is good. Dustin Poirier, not only does he spar, he gets his head kicked in every single fight. Max Holloway got knocked out once by Ilia Topuria. Never again. Dustin has been knocked out multiple times over and over and over again. This is going to somehow really trample his style going into this fight. And that's why I say Max is going to trample him. Marty Miller says, I respect your opinion, so I can't wait to see if it comes to fruition. Yeah, yeah. But you got to understand, right? Combat sports is a very unpredictable nature, right? It's the most unpredictable sport in the world. So we shall see. We shall see. We absolutely shall see indeed. So yeah, inshallah. Um, okay, so what else? They beat the F out of each other last night, 180 to 172 significant strikes, 70% 70% landed. Okay, so that's another thing too, right? You know how you said that they go back and forth, right? You go, I go, type of scenario, right, Marty? So that is going to happen in this fight. It's what I call a rinse and repeat, cycle where you go back in the same technique over and over again because it works, right? I call that rinse and repeat MMA, right? So that's what you're going to see out of Max Holloway is rinse and repeat MMA. Now, rinse and repeat MMA is different from one person to another. For example, Khabib's um, rinse and repeat MMA consists of jab, jab, shoot, double takedowns, right? Cain Velasquez, the same thing. A lot of wrestling heavy guys, Colby Covington, the same thing. But when it comes to Max, his rinse and repeat is jab, 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 and back away, jab, 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 back away, play the distance game, jab, 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 straight punches, constant straight punches. So, Marty, I'm going to ask you this, right? Between both of them, while they're throwing back and forth and you go, I go, within the straight punches, who's going to win these exchanges if you really visualize it, right? Forget the biasness of what happened previous fights. Forget the fact that it is a 0-2 series situation going on. Forget all that. Focus on the reality of what Max can do versus what Dustin can do. Now, does Dustin have a higher propensity of throwing straight shots, or is it Max? And I think you know the answer to that if you're a hardcore fan, which I know you are, and I know that you're very observant of these things just based on the observation that you have, that you have mentioned. So, yeah, just on that alone, that is the reason why I'm picking Max, right? Damage versus the lack of damage that comes from uh, Max Holloway. So yeah, um, Miller says if Max kicks like he did against Aldo, then I think he can pull it off. So yes, a little bit of a kicking could absolutely offset uh, Dustin Poirier. Now look, Dustin Poirier, believe it or not, he's not the best kicker out there, right? Not that he can't do it or not that he doesn't have good kicks, but he doesn't utilize it in the way that, let's say, Conor McGregor did in their first fight, right? He doesn't utilize it in the way that Anderson Silva uses his kicks, the way that John Jones uses his kicks, right? Just reliant on the head kicks that are there if need be. Ilia Topuria, the same thing, right? Not very kick heavy. But if you do that, you will do something a whole lot different. And here's the thing, right? Dustin Poirier has a high propensity of keeping it in boxing ranges if you let him get comfortable enough. Now, look, Max gets him comfortable in the boxing ranges, gives him a sense of security that, hey, maybe I can outbox this guy. And then out of nowhere, right, Max hits him with a shot that doesn't necessarily hurt him badly enough, but rocks him. And then Max is going to continue on, and he's going to continue on, and he's going to throw, jab after jab after jab. Marty Miller says he should throw that open side kick every time Dustin switches to southpaw. That's a good point, man. That is a good point. Perhaps maybe that is something that his team sees. That is a good observation on your part, too, by the way, right? He should absolutely do that. But we shall see if his team is willing to if his team is willing to um, take that observation into consideration, and if they do, then great. If they don't, man, it's going to be a different fight for sure. But all right, let's see here. So what else here? What else is yeah, so Manny Pacquiao, right? Yeah, dude, I don't like this fight for Manny Pacquiao. I've said this, numerous times over and over again, right? Look, this is the reason why I don't like this fight for Manny Pacquiao. Okay, and we could be proven wrong. We'll get to the other fights as well, but obviously this fight is a big fight going on in the weekend as well, along with the UFC and the undisputed boxing world championships, right, at the heavyweight division. But Manny Pacquiao is 46, right? Now, look, if you're a heavyweight, I can understand because heavyweights, all they need is that one shot, right? If money's the problem, and it's not a problem. Your family can eat, and you can hit back at the pricks who put you here in the. Hang on, on the recruitment angle, are we? Any trick for dead set, yeah? Then let's put that to the test. You've been activated. Okay, sorry about that. Have I'm playing a little video game right here. Okay, what is it? It's fun talking shop with you, man. I don't ever get to in my normal life. You know what? Before I get to the Manny Pacquiao conversation, right? I want to address that right there, right? So, understand that MMA is a very niche sport, right? Most of us are really infatuated with MMA to the point where we either go above and beyond outside of just MMA chats or YouTube and things of that nature, right? So what do I mean by that, right? Obviously, for some people, their MMA infatuation only extends to, let's say, when they watch it on a Saturday, right? These are what you would call casuals. Now, some have more of a higher tier of involvement in a sport, right? I mean, like there's guys that train and then watch, and then there's guys that train, watch, and then fight themselves, or guys that train, watch, or are involved in the sport in some kind of way, or train and watch and have their own careers, and then they chime in whenever there's a fight that they are interested in, or if one of their buddies is fighting, right? That is the overall scope of the MMA community. Now, outside of that, it's really a fringe sport. It's not something that everybody is really into. They're into it if Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg are going to fight each other, or even more than that, maybe even just as simple as going to an event, right? It becomes relevant. Marty Miller says, "Oh, speaking of boxing, did you see Till versus Rockhold?" No. Okay, so that's an interesting. Um, Man, you know what? It's an interesting matchup for boxing, but I find it kind of weird. I'm going to be honest with you, right? Because I feel like wouldn't you rather see Darren Till and Luke Rockhold fight in the UFC? Like, if you think about it, both of these guys right now, if they were to come back and fight in the UFC, that would do big money. You know what I mean? But obviously, the UFC doesn't see it that way. It may not be lucrative for them. Both of these guys might be over the hill in terms of their MMA prime, but who knows, man? Yeah, for boxing, I guess it's fun for the celebrity misfits angle of boxing, but I prefer to see them fight in MMA, to be honest with you. But going back to what we were saying, Marty, right? It's a fringe sport. It's not something that everybody is into, and it's just not the type of conversation that you could normally have with normal people out there. I'll give you an example, right? I visited UC Davis campus one time, okay? And they had an Irish sociological professor that came there to do talks, right? His talk was basically about, the economics of Ireland, how that affects people, how that goes into mental health and things of this nature, right? So, out of all the things that I could have asked this Irish fella, right, this very educated Irish fella, guess what I decided to ask him? Hey, do you know Conor McGregor? Man, let me tell you, the look on his face when I asked him that, it looks like as if he had lost some sort of intellectual respect for me. Okay, think about that. An Irish college professor visiting Sacramento, California, in one of the most prestigious colleges in Sacramento, California. And I was privileged enough to have gone to this talk. Out of all the things that he talks about, I ask him, what do you know about Conor McGregor? And let me tell you, man, you could understand why he would probably lose in intellectual respect to a certain degree, right? But yeah, that again, that proves to you that it's not a normal conversation that you could have. Like, think about that, right? If you're an MMA fan, understand this. If you're an MMA fan and you're an American on top of that, or just any nationality, but more so with Americans, right? You meet an Irish person and you're an MMA fan. Guess what is the conversation that you really are itching to ask that person? Hey, what do you think about Conor McGregor? Hey, do you think Conor McGregor is going to be president of Ireland? Hey, what do you think about Conor McGregor showing his woo woo? By the way, check out that video that I have live stream version of it. I call it the birthday scandal because I didn't really know what else to title it. Everybody else is going to have the same titles on it. Connor showed his such and such and this and that. I was trying to make it as conservatively friendly as possible, if you know what I mean. So, okay, Marty Miller here says 100% submission radio brought that up to Luke. Would be way better to see that. Oh, okay, did they? Okay, even karate combat for sure. Okay, and then Marty Miller was laughing at was saying, "That's so funny, dude. Of all the things I could ask this man, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He looked like he lost absolute intellectual respect for me. He probably said to himself, "Oh, I'm going to this institution, with the most brightest Americans," and then next thing this random meathead barbarian, looking Arab, of a man, in this college campus, is asking him about Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? And it's like, and you know what? Listen, here's the thing. I bet you a lot of Irish people who are just normal, everyday Irish people that have to interact with all you international heads out there that are obsessed with MMA, I guarantee you they are so sick and tired of you asking them about Conor McGregor. Let's be real about that, right? They're like, why is this guy? Oh, man, I got to bust out an Irish accent on this one. Why is this guy asking me about Conor McGregor? We live our own lives in Ireland, right? Conor McGregor is not the only focal point of Ireland. I don't understand why people constantly ask us about Conor McGregor. I guarantee you they get sick and tired of it, right? They do because, man, let's think about it. If you are an MMA head, good Lord, man, that is the first thing you're going to ask, an Irish person. But tell me the truth, right? Like, especially you, Marty, right? You live in Ohio. Maybe you don't run across a lot of international people, but let's say if an Irish person showed up at your town, at a random, diner, and then you happen to strike a conversation with him, tell me you would not bring up Conor McGregor in some kind of a capacity. Maybe not in the first conversation, or maybe, you know what? What's funny about this professor is that I literally asked him, right off the back, I asked him, I said, hey, listen, what do you think about Conor McGregor? Just like that. And then he just looks at me like, oh, uncivilized Americans, bloody uncivilized Americans. Why are you asking me this? So come on, let's be real. You would so yeah, I didn't want to get on the tangent about that, but yeah, that's what's great about these live streams is that you never know what we're going to talk about. We have a set of topics that we want to talk about, but then we go off the beaten path of other things, which is okay too. So yeah, okay. So let me go back to why I thought Manny Pacquiao that why this is going to be a bad idea for Manny Pacquiao, right? Okay, so the reason why this is a bad idea for Manny Pacquiao. Okay, he's 46 years old. Uh, historically, this is not the age that you want to fight at 147. Now at heavyweight, it works, but at this weight class, it doesn't work like that because of the fact that you have speed advantages and disadvantages involved. So that has to be taken into serious consideration when wondering how exactly is Manny Pacquiao going to deal with this fight. Look, Ugas beat the living hell out of Manny Pacquiao, destroyed him. You know who destroyed? You know who destroyed Ugas? The guy that Manny Pacquiao is fighting. So I need you to put that in perspective. Marty Miller says, probably thought you were taking a piss. Okay, yeah, so that's like a UK, what do you call it? A UK angle? Or I'm sorry, a UK vernacular that is basically saying like you're fooling around or playing around with me, right? That's basically what that slang means in their part of the world. So all right, so more on the Dustin and Max Holloway fight, right? uh Also, I think the people that are picking Dustin Poirier, I think many of that is predicated on one thing. You want to know what that one thing is? I'll tell you what that is, right? That one thing they're predicating the Dustin Poirier win is because of the fairy tale story involved. I promise you that is a big reason why people are thinking he's going to win this fight. They're saying to themselves, you know what? This is his last fight. This is his last fight, so he must win in some kind of way, right? There is no way that he's not going to win. Uh, but I got to be honest with you guys. Fighting is not a fairy tale at all, right? There is no fairy tales in fighting. Fighting is predicated on who is the most skilled and who is going to have the clear, distinct advantage moving forward. That's really the reality of all of this. So yeah, same thing with Manny Pacquiao, right? I think there are people out there that still believe that, okay, you know what, at 46 years old he's going to pull off a miracle. You know what, here's the thing, he very well might do so. I don't know if this is the fight to do it though, right? Mario Barrios is looking really good right now. Let's take a look at some past fights that Mario Barrios has going on. Okay, let's take a look at some past fights that he's had as of recently. By the way, guys, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we're going to get to all the fights that's going on this weekend. Okay, so 1995 was 30 years old. Okay, so last fight he had a draw against Abel Ramos. That was a draw. Okay, beats Urgas, has a win over Maidana. Fabian Maidana goes 12 rounds with Keith Thurman. This is a reason why they think that he has a chance to win, right? Because obviously Manny has fought Keith Thurman. He did very well against Keith Thurman. He knocked Keith Thurman down literally in the first round, right? Which is just absolutely nothing short of amazing, right? I mean, you knock him down in the first round. I mean, that's saying a lot right there. That is absolutely saying a lot right there. It shows that you are above and beyond the levels that people have expected you to be. But you got to understand that was him at 40 years old. It's a little bit different with 40 years old versus 46. Okay. And now, if he does it, if he does it, listen, good on him. Okay. Good on him. But the likely of that happening is very slim right now. Okay. It's very slim. I don't see it happening. He went 12. Okay, he got knocked out by Gervonta Davis. Okay, and that was, I think, his first loss. That was back in 2021, and that was in Atlanta, right? So, yeah, man, he did very well in that fight up until obviously Gervonta Davis knocked him out. So, yeah, I don't like it, man. And on top of that, the last fights that realistically he did was all what do you call it? They were all exhibition. With YouTubers and Korean pop stars, or whatever you call that, K-pop or whatever gay type of genre they got going on. But on any regard, yes, that's it. So let's take a look at UFC 318. We're just jumping around different particular subject matters, and don't really have any political stuff to bring up. Okay, Daniel Rodriguez versus Kevin Holland. I like that fight, right? I think Daniel Rodriguez and Kevin Holland were supposed to fight not too long ago. I believe that was on the same day as Diaz and Chimaev, but they turned that card upside down, topsy turvy. But on any regard, here we are, right? We got Kevin Holland and Daniel Rodriguez coming up. Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov are the co-main event and main event, and not much anything to feature them on in that particular regard, which is interesting because, like I said, right, the countdown show was only Max and Dustin Poirier. I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know if it's because there's some sort of like, punishment that they're throwing at Paulo Costa, but Marty Miller says here, politically, you could talk about Trump now saying the whole Epstein loss is a hoax. You know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to elaborate on that right now. Okay, I'm going to put a timestamp on this one, and then I'm going to elaborate on that. Okay, so that's a very good topic to bring up. Okay, okay. All right. Yeah, the list. I know what you meant. Yeah, I know what you meant, brother. Okay. So let's put this right here. Okay, you know what? I'm going to put this on a title as well. Okay. Okay, Trump list. Okay, we're going to put it in 44 minutes into the live stream. That's what we're going to do. 44 minutes into the live stream. Okay, here we go. Boom. All right. All right, so we'll do that. Okay, in 1 minute and 30 seconds, we're going to talk about Trump and why he believes the Epstein list is a hoax. Okay. Um, I'm going to give you some plausible reasons behind what is going on, right? Because look, there's a lot of conspiracies that are, that are attached to this whole story. Okay, so all right. Uh, okay, so in 30 seconds, we're going to talk about it. 30 seconds. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So everybody is saying that Trump is lying about the Epstein list. Is it true? In my humble opinion, a lot of you really don't know. A lot of you are just guessing. And I don't want to be anti conspiracy theorist, but I also don't want to lean in that direction either. So when you have those two conflicting thoughts, how do you navigate through that fairly, objectively? Well, here's how you can really objectively navigate that. Asking yourself, do I have evidence on this particular matter when it comes to this type of accusation? Well, they're lying. How do you know they're lying? How do you know that there isn't other things going on in the background, such as, okay, protecting certain people? Because that is a reality when it comes to, let's say, redacted statements on classified information. Also, what is the big deal about Epstein's list, right? What is it that people are looking for? Are people just looking to, let's say, have a gotcha moment at the Clintons, at the Obamas, or whoever else was involved or is a part of the entire party that Jeffrey Epstein put together? And even if that's the case, even if these people went to these parties, does it really mean the most nefarious idea that these people are child violators in some kind of way, right? The the thing is that you really don't know. If you think that you know, I think you're either pretending or you're just trying to fit a certain narrative that soothes your worldview. And often, many times, that doesn't give you the most objective take on a particular matter at hand. So here's my take on this, right? I don't think there's an Epstein list. I don't think there is at all. I think that Epstein is a creep. That's a proven fact. But it doesn't mean that anybody or everybody that was around him was a creep as well. It doesn't have any particular evidence in that particular direction. I can't go off of the Alex Jones, David Icke type of rhetoric to where I'm just going to believe everything that has something to do with conspiracies, because not all conspiracies are accurate. In fact, what they do is only confirm what you would conclude as a confirmation bias, right? So what I'm trying to say with that is we don't know, right? And also the importance of it doesn't seem as really that important as having a broken promise when Trump said, "Hey, when I'm going to get into the Oval Office, I'm going to release all this, that, and the other." You guys got to learn your lesson. When it comes to politics, these people are never going to be straightforward with you. And not only are these people never going to be straightforward with you, they constantly lie in order to get themselves into office. And they only say what feels good in that particular moment of time when they are in the campaign trails, when they're doing these pep rally talks and they're firing everybody up to get in the booth and vote in one direction or another. And that's really all there is to it. Now, let's take a look at the nuances of this situation, right? Because I previously mentioned there's the aspect of perhaps understanding that there are people who have to be protected in this list. Okay, you have to take into consideration there's minors that are involved in this list. Do you really want to read the names of the minors that were violated? And quite frankly, I don't care to know who they are, nor do I care to make their life even harder due to the fact that they've been violated by some creep, right? So I don't want to make that even harder on anybody. Okay, so you're making it harder for the victims if their names have to be involved. And by the way, it's highly illegal for you to mention any minors' names in police reports or even show pictures of them in the same particular matter. So that's what you got going on in the world right now. You have a lot of people who are unsatisfied with the work of Trump as of late, and that could be a multitude of reasons. You add that and compound that to the fact that you have all these hyper skepticisms, right? And then a voter base that is also predicated on paranoia, also predicated on the idea of the nefarious actions of people at the top, right? Because it's not good enough for them that Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and it's not good enough for them that this man who is a creep is no longer alive. And let's visit that a little bit, right? Is it really that unusual in the prison system for a pedophile to, all of a sudden get unalived? That's one plausible reality. The other plausible reality is that he really hung himself and he really took himself out, because you got to imagine super hyper billionaire having all the riches in the world, everything at your command as you wish, comes to you. All of a sudden, you're in prison. Your entire freedom is taken. Of course, you're going to commit some serious extreme acts that you normally wouldn't do based on the depression that you now just developed living in prison. So that's the other plausible reality. So remember the two plausible realities here. It was a setup kill, which is normal in prison, okay? Child molesters all the time they get killed in prison, and that's really all there is to it. They do. So why would you think anything different? So if you guys have any comments on that particular regard, let me know. But yeah, please, if you guys missed that monologue, please rewind back exactly 6 minutes from this right here. Fresh Melon Juice says a sociopath doesn't end his life. He didn't. He didn't the other times. A sociopath doesn't end his life. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Fresh Melon Juice. How do you know this man was a sociopath? You see, here's the problem with a lot of people, right? There's a lot of misdiagnoses that is going on right now. Like you often hear this in the anti-red pill community of people saying, "Oh, well, he's a narcissist. 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 He's a narcissist." Okay, I had to throw the Russian accent in there one time, of course. They reset. He says, "Okay." Uh, Marty Miller says, "Yeah, I agree with Mellon. There just happened to be some convenient circumstances around the whole thing." Okay, and I'm not going to well, I disagree, respectfully to a certain extent, but I can also understand there is a plausibility in some of the things that you're saying. So he says, "Yeah, I agree with Mellon. There's also just happened to be some convenient circumstances around the whole thing." So I want to play this video of this CIA agent, right? His name is Andre Bustamante. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but I want you to hear what he says about conspiracy theories, right? This is very important to understand. Uh, Andrew Bustamante. I don't know why I called him Andre, but I guess because Andre sounds more Hispanic, and he's obviously a Hispanic man. But Andrew sounds more like a white guy's name, like Andrew, versus Andre. You know what I mean? Like you think of Andre, you think of like some guy that's going to like walk up to you doing a salsa dance. Hey. Okay. Anyways, all right. So Bustamante on conspiracy theory. Here we go. Um, why end your life when Trump says it's all a hoax? Okay. The Great Awakening. What are we talking about? Well, right now we're talking about Trump and the Epstein thing. Obviously, we talked earlier about UFC, boxing. Now we're getting into the psychological of conspiracy. All right, hear this. Okay, let's pass this commercial real quick.
First thing that has to happen.
Okay, here.
The first thing that has to happen is something factual. Yeah. There has to be a factual something that takes.
Okay, so I need you to keep this in mind, okay? When there's a conspiracy, something factual has to happen first, okay? So, all right, hear this out right here. Okay, let me read what this says right here. Miller says, facts. What is Maxwell doing in jail? Okay. The Great Awakening says the political narrative is one big distraction. That's also true. Fresh Melon Juice says 164 million from Epstein's estate was given to 200 victims. His accounts are still alive and moving today. Okay, Great Awakening says, how about people stop giving their power to being outside of themselves? Marty Miller says, damn, I didn't know that. Okay, so hear what Bustamante has to say about conspiracies, right?
In any conspiracy, the first thing that has to happen is something factual. Yeah.
So remember, something factual has to happen first.
There has to be a factual something that takes place.
Yep.
The Twin Towers.
In this case, the towers.
And the towers fell.
Yep.
Fact. Well, then, immediately after the fact, there has to be a gap in information. Mm-hmm. Now, once there's
so here we are. The gap in information, right? That's what he's talking about right here. The gap in information.
Gap in information. The next step is skepticism has to arise. Now, hear me out on this. Skepticism is healthy. Mm-hmm. Suspicion is unhealthy.
I like that.
Okay, there it is. Skepticism is healthy, suspicion is unhealthy. So whenever you come up with a conspiracy, you have to ask yourself, am I being suspicious or am I being skeptic? And there's a negative and a positive side to each one. That's something we have to pay attention to.
Okay. One more time for the people.
Skepticism is healthy. Suspicion is unhealthy. Right? So skepticism means prove it, show me more facts. Skepticism follows a lack of information, which followed a factual event. At this point in time, trained people, intelligence operatives, law enforcement, academics, they will say, I need more information before I make a conclusion.
Yeah.
Untrained people let their skepticism turn into suspicion. And then guess what the brain wants? The brain wants to close the loop.
Yeah.
There it is. Let me play that again. The brain wants to close the loop. This is important to understand, and you'll understand why I'm taking the stance on the quote unquote hoax, Epstein list. Listen to this again.
And then guess what the brain wants? The brain wants to close the loop.
Yep.
That's what the human brain wants. We don't like open loops. We don't like unanswered questions. We don't like open storylines. It's why we watch alien shows and Bigfoot shows. Yeah. Because at the end of every episode, you didn't find out squat, but the next episode, you'll find out something new. So we all tune back in the next week, right?
Yeah.
So after you have factual events, open gaps in information, skepticism turns into suspicion, then people start closing the loop for themselves. They start making up a story that explains the gap of information. Somebody's keeping that information from me. Somebody's hiding the information from me. Somebody knows and they did it on purpose. They make up a story that closes the loop for themselves. Then other people find out someone else's story, it closes the loop for them. All the loop closing makes people feel really good, and then conspiracy theory explodes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it becomes, prove to me that the conspiracy isn't true, instead of prove to me that the conspiracy is true.
All right. So you understand, right? Now you understand what I'm saying is that we want to close the gaps between what is going on with the Epstein list, right? There's a gap going on there. Well, what exactly is that gap? Well, there's a lot of things that could explain that gap. For example, maybe some people are informants. Okay, like I don't think anybody. I mean, I'm sure people have thought about this, but maybe not. Right? Okay, what if some people are informants and they have to be protected in some kind of way? But let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about what Homeboy just said right there? Right? We use conspiracies to go and close the gaps. So let me know what you guys think about that that particular narrative right there. Yeah, so let me know, man. Let me know. Uh yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. Hold on, sorry, doing this little video game right now. I don't know if you guys ever played Watch Legion. Uh, Fresh Melon Juice says Trump is doing a favor for kings, and he's also protecting Israel and the Jewish people, maybe for real estate in Gaza. You know what? Okay, so here's the thing, right? I'm not in total disagreement with you guys, right? Think about this. Do you guys know why the Kennedy files are not out? You want to know why? Because there's a certain group of people that were involved in the Kennedy assassination, okay? And it was Israel. So that is a reason why they don't release everything on that. So I tell you what, if there is one thing where I may agree with people on this particular conspiracy, it is based on the Kennedy files, right? Because think about this. Why would they not want to release everything? Why? Look, JFK, JFK did not want Israel to have nuclear weapons, okay? He did not feel that Israel deserved to have nuclear weapons. So what did Israel do in the process? That's how you got Dallas. Remember Dallas? They sent somebody to do what they needed to do, and as a result of that, well, you know what? That is why we are where we're at, is because of that reason. Okay, so uh, if there is any plausible reason to believe anything that you guys are saying, it really is uh, based on the possibility that the Israelis had something to do with it. And this is no different, because guess who Epstein is closely related to? Obviously, Mossad, uh, Israel intelligence, things of this nature. So yeah, that is a reality nonetheless. Yeah, man. So what else? What else can we talk about on this particular subject matter at hand right here? Let's see here. Let's see here. What else can we talk about? Okay. Let's go to the press conference. The press conference with Dubois and yeah, this one right here.
On August 1st, see Liam Neeson like never. I'm gonna ruin another suit. Says he served 20 years for man's laughter. You mean manslaughter? Must have been quite the joke. I think because he's coming into his prime, he's had great grounding. If you look at his resume, he's fought probably at this age, he's probably fought the best, real good quality fighters, more better quality fighters than most heavyweights at the age he's at. And he's got the experience. He's got a great team behind him. He's shared the ring. They know their strengths and weaknesses. He knows he can hurt Alexander. He's done that before. And I feel genuinely it's going to be his time. He's on a roll like. Yeah, he said that he knows that he can hurt Alexander Usyk, and that's exactly why I say that this fight is going to be a whole lot easier for Dubois than the previous fight. I really mean that, right? Like and look, it's been 2 years, so something is going to change here. I cannot believe beating world-class fighters, undefeated fighters, two-time world champions, and done it in style. And I think he's going to do it. I really do believe he's going to do it on Saturday night against one of the great champions in boxing, in heavyweight boxing.
Okay, thanks, Frank. Let's bring in Aegis Klimas, who I'm sure is certain that Daniel Dubois will not be doing it on Saturday. Aegis, you have been very confident in the build-up, as you always are, with your man Alexander Usyk. What does your man get the job done on Saturday?
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, London, Wembley. We're back again here. Look, he did it one, and he's going to do it again. And we're very confident as a team.
How dangerous a challenge is Daniel Dubois? Do you see this as a completely new fighter, or is it just the same guy?
It's the same guy. Well,
now you see, this is what I wholeheartedly disagree with Alexander Usyk's team, right? They are saying that this is the same guy. Okay, they are saying that, like, hey, you know what? This is the same guy as last time. I don't know about that. Okay, because what I saw out of Daniel Dubois when he fought Joe Joyce is not the same Daniel Dubois that I saw fight Anthony Joshua, or even before that, the Daniel Dubois that fought um, uh, Alexander Usyk. It's not the same guy. I think there's vast improvements in his game that I think is going to be very dangerous for Usyk. This is going to be a very dangerous fight for Usyk, man. It really will be. And if you don't think so, man, you got another thing coming. This is going to be a very dangerous fight for him. Alexander Usyk, look, at his age, I don't think that the age is a factor for him right now, even at 39 years old, right? I don't think that it's a factor because different guys age differently, and Usyk is not the type of guy to really let himself go in any kind of capacity, right? Not that kind of guy at all. He's a guy that stays healthy, stays solid. Obviously, is a very religious man, right? Which keeps him disciplined. Also important to know, but I don't think any of that matters either. Like, I don't think it matters that he's still in his prime. I don't think that matters. I think that the strength and the firepower of Daniel Dubois could prove to be too much for Alexander Usyk. And I'm telling you, if that happens, man, it's going to be an epic scene at the Wembley Stadium, because then you're going to have a British guy who's going to be a world champion. You have Tom Aspinall. Now you got Daniel Dubois. Man, it's great for their combat sports country in that type of way. All right, so let's see here. Okay, let me read these comments right here. Fresh Melon Juice says John Jones has called out Pantoja. No, he didn't. Fresh Melon Juice, The Great Awakening. I think Usyk is 38. Yeah, okay, right around there. The Great Awakening says his mind is stronger than Dubois, but not as powerfully physical. So, okay, I'm going to mark that one right there. Great Awakening. Check this out, right? You're absolutely right. If this was the first fight around, this time, I think I see a different mentality out of Daniel Dubois. I see a completely different guy. You know what I see? I see a guy that is heavily focused, not just heavily focused, but also I think a much I think he's a much sharper fighter than he was the last time. That's what I think. Marty Miller says tough fight for John Jones. Is it really? Come on now, man. Come on now. Uh, John Jones did say, you know what? I'm going to wait who the champion is by the end of the year. So I think what John is trying to do is just take a break, right? He's hoping that Tom Aspinall gets into a war or somehow gets beaten. Derek Lewis. Now, can you imagine? What if it's Derek Lewis that beats Tom Aspinall? Look, Derek Lewis right now is what the heavyweight division needs. So he had a few losses here and there. Obviously, this win that he has against, the prospect in Teixeira was a win that he needed to kind of get him back into the fold of heavyweight. Uh, yeah, that's what he needs right now. He needs to get back into the heavyweight run. Um, and he did just by this win alone. This win got him that opportunity because he could be next, man. He absolutely could be next. Dubois haven't seen war. Usyk's going to destroy him. A different men. You know what, Fresh Melon Juice? So here's the thing, right? I know that the whole war thing, yeah, you're tougher than this guy and that because you've seen war. Look, let me name you a matchup. Benoit Saint Denis versus Dustin Poirier. Now, look, Dustin Poirier is just an athlete. He's never seen war. He's never been in special forces or nothing like that. But we saw how that fight ended. Take a break. He's fought twice in 5 years. well, whatever he perceives as a break, right? I'm sure you've had coworkers where like, hey, listen, I'm going to go take a break. You know, a 15-minute break turns into 20. You know, sometimes if you have a half-hour lunch or an hour lunch, they extend it. You know how that goes, right? So, you know, to the beholder is to interpret what their time usage is, right? So that's the best way to put it, Marty Miller. But yeah, man, twice in 5 years. You know what? There was a point in time where John Jones actually fought at least every once a year, if you can put that in perspective, right? Has fought at least once a year. So yeah, man, that's interesting to say the least. So all right, so let me see here. Who here plays Fight Night Champions? Let me see if I can put this up. I don't know, man. I don't. Let me see if I can show you what I'm playing right now. Okay. The old school Xbox 360. Obviously, this is the Xbox One, but it's compatible with playing this game. You guys remember this game right here, right? Oop. Used to play that back in the day, Marty Miller. All right, here we go. Try something new here for a second. Here it is.
Hi, everybody. So glad you're with us. Jim Tessitore alongside Teddy Atlas, and we welcome you to the Royal London Theatre here in London, England. Our main event should be a good one tonight. 10 rounds of heavyweight action. This should be a really good matchup here. So all that energy that we saw almost boiled over at the weigh-in yesterday, now it gets to explode here in the ring. Protect yourself at all times. First round underway. It's scheduled 10 rounds. He's coming off an impressive knockout game. Bad intentions, his opponent has to be very confident. Well, I hope so. I mean, they shoot on their got to be put in. If they're conscious of it, there's a better chance that they don't get close to the shot. That is last opponent said. Takes one to get one. He comes back with a right hand. Bad intentions. His defense is paying off now. So, Teddy, here we have a power puncher against a fast and speedy fighter. What are some of the first things you look for in a match? I'm looking for the best guy to stay on the outside. When there's distance, you can use that speed. You don't want to be cramped where the other fighter can use his power. To the head he goes with a left hand. Reaching the halfway mark of this round. Again, my man protection. That's great stuff. He fires one right back after taking one. Gotta love the work by Baker. And you see what he can do when he sends that right to the head.
The one in the blue trunks, taller guy.
Landing a two-punch combo by Baker. Baker's left landing well. Good smooth work by that attention. That's classic counter punching. Yeah, what he did was he pulled that right shoulder back, just pulled it back, gave the left shoulder, and then gave the right hand. Covers up nicely, gets rid of his opponent's body shot.
Yes, more like the Chechnyan, but yeah. What are we, woke freaks now? What does that mean, fresh melon juice? What you mean by that?
Otherwise, he has no chance of winning this fight. This guy's beat. Now, if you throw 3 or 4 punches in a row, you can turn this thing around. Here we go. Round 2 is underway. Guard your head. Targeting that overhand left. Unable to score with the uppercut.
Is that a Joe Rogan reference? Fresh melon juice. Remember when he said in one of the John Jones fight, he's like, "Yeah, black trunks, white trunk." Or Joe Rogan said, "You mean black guy, white guy?" Just I don't know why people just don't say that. Yeah, that was when the UFC was not as woke. Well, I mean, they never are woke if you think about it. But if you think about it, they were pretty woke during the GSP era.
How about that left hand? Targeting that 1-2. Needs to improve that accuracy. Missed with the headshot. Double jab. At this stage of a fight, Teddy, these very early moments, how much in your training career will you stress to a guy to try to go to the body? Very much, because it sets up things later on. It takes away things that he's trying to do. He's trying to move his upper body. So Baker's dazed after that punch. Sending out the power shot with his straight left hand. Nice block by Baker. Looking back, smart veteran move. Hurt, so you hurt. Exactly what the doctor.
Oh,
Back and forth after he did the hurting. He's the one hurt. So simply put, this is about wit and spit. This is about fight. That attention was able to land it good, and now the ref gets involved and warns him for headbutting. Listen, that's the kind of
if you ever worn a mask, you have been woke. They were woke during the Biden era as well. Man, you know what? There's different reasons why people wear masks, though. Fresh melon juice. He says, "I fought the mask BS so hard I got kicked out of several stores for not wearing them."
is having no effect on this round. Baker's on the receiving end of a very good counter punch. He gets off with a combination up top. Right back at him with a left hand.
I guess if you have a cold and have to work, it's respectful, something Asians do, but we don't. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. Even before COVID, if you go in Asian countries, they've always worn masks for some reason. Probably because of like a lot of dust, maybe, or from like one of those volcano situations.
You gotta land a big punch now, champ. No doubt about it. You lose in this fight. You need to throw and land a big shot and knock this guy out. Listen, I need to see some count. So as we start round 4, we reflect on the first 3, looking at
Yeah, for sure. Nothing will beat like fight night games. They put a mask on after they eat the bats. Yeah.
but I think that his jab has carried the day. Doing well on the outside. He's just having his way on the outside against a guy that can't afford to stay there. No, he has to find a way to get inside. Have a little tight for him. Stop moving your head and start working your way in without catching the punches on the way in. That shot to the head. Little double jab to the head. Baker's impressing the judges and himself with that right hand. 90 seconds to go in round number 4. Nice work, the left hand to the head. Snapping jab by Bad Intentions. Bad Intentions has done a good job there, offensively scoring with that left hand. That's it, just like that. There was a baseball umpire around. He called that a strikeout by Baker. Bad Intentions, his right hand scores well that time. Took a shot, now he gives the left. Targeting that belt line with the right hand. 4th round now with his last 10 seconds. Scores well to the belt line again. Baker's failure to protect himself with that left hand.
He says hit the body. True.
Yeah, and he has to understand why.
True. Even the trainer in the in the matchup is saying to do that. I still prefer PS3 over PS5 any day. Yeah, you know what? I mean, your name is PS3 after all, right? Maybe that is why. But no, yeah, I see what you're saying. This is Xbox One actually.
They are back to action here, but that action
Oh. Woo. Got him. On the way down. Look at this. Oh, Draco looking motherfucker. All right. EA Sports, it's in the game. You're not going to recover from that knockdown. At least I don't think. Man, I got to finish this guy. I got like 4 rounds left. Oh no! Well, got to turn off the volume there for a second. Oh, wow, man. He cut up the eye. Ooh! Ooh, and extra punches on the way down. Look at that. Boom, that straight left right there. Boom. And then comes right up top. Boom, boom. What an uppercut to follow. What a tough dude. Is he going to get up? Nope. Oh, wow. He's out. He's out. All right. So the whole entire fight. All right. 447 punches, 240 of them, 172 punches and 429. So pretty even. The total punches. Round one, 64% versus 44. Round two. Okay, got a lot of counter shots here. That's kind of what I was rooting for there. 4 out of 5 in round three, 1 out of 1 at 3 and 3. Okay. All right. So there it is. There it is, guys. Advances to the career mode, and that is all she wrote right there. Let's see. Okay, here we go. All right. So, all right. So let's see. What else can we, what is this? Okay. So let's see here. Okay, let's save this real quick. There we go. All right. EA Sports. It's in the game. It's in the game. All right. So, all right. Let's get back to the press conference. Let's see what else they have for this one.
What you can change in a couple of years. You can, you cannot train your mind, and that's, I think, his weaknesses is.
I don't know if you've got a response to that, Frank. It's a sort of jibe at Daniel. You can't train the mind. You've been talking about how it's Daniel the man now, not Daniel the boy. Aegis Klimas says no change in 2 years. You can't train the mind. Any thoughts?
Well, we'll see on Saturday. He certainly trained his mind against Miller. He certainly trained his mind against Hrgovic, and he certainly trained his mind against. And he's got better and better, and he's showing his power. Power. He knows he can hurt Mr. Usyk. He knows that. He's felt the power, and he's a much better fighter.
Now, look, this is the factor that I would need people to understand about this fight, right? There is a power struggle here that I think is going to be in the advantage of Daniel Dubois, right? And if you think otherwise, I don't know what to tell you, man. You know, it's yeah. Yeah, he's absolutely going to get the best out of the power shots in his fight. So, okay, just making sure that the volume is on in that one. Okay. All right, here we go.
From 2.5 years ago.
Alexander is not a those three fighters. He's different from those three fighters. And the Saturday night, the history is going to be made here at the Wembley Stadium. You will see.
I absolutely agree with what you're saying there, Aegis. He is different. He's a fabulous and great champion. But this is the new kid on the block. 27 years of age, ready to go. He's got all the ammunition. He's got the power. And everybody underestimates his boxing ability. He has one of the best jabs in boxing. And we'll see on Saturday night. Whatever happens, the fans are going to get something special, because I know your man, as soon as that bell goes, he ain't going to be on the back foot. He's going to come and try to take the centre of the ring, and Daniel's going to be there to meet him. So it's going to be a battle of wills, a battle of power, strength, and the young guy's going to do it. My name is Frank Drebin. Squad.
All right, so Fresh Melon Juice says, boxers press conference are boring, old farts trying to hype up the fight. Yeah, you know what? Look at Dana White in comparison to other boxing promoters, right? I would have to agree with you on that one, right? The way that they hype up the fight and this, that, and the other. I mean, it is, yeah, bro, for real. I agree with you on that one. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that one. Hold on a second here. All right, let's go back to this one. Yeah, Dana White promoting Terrence Crawford and and Canelo would probably be good. So I mean, look at the way that they went through the press conference. It went straight to the point. Like, all right, let's get to it. Let's get to the point. This, that, and the other. And yeah, so yeah, I agree.
Years for man's laughter. You mean manslaughter? Must have been quite the joke.
Good promotion. Good promotion.
Let's bring in.
Don't push the horses. Don't push the horses.
Friend. Yes? Nice.
Thanks, Sergey. Let's bring in Riz Khan from Team Dubois, manager of Daniel Dubois. You've been by his side through some of this resurgence. Hey, you certainly picked up a few fans. Some of the media are even screaming out for him here. What can you tell us about this man heading into Saturday night?
Thanks, Deb. I think resurgence is actually a great word. And if the truth be known, the resurgence started after Daniel's last fight with Alexander. And the architect behind the resurgence has clearly been his father, Stan Dubois, who's meticulously handpicked.
Yeah, so it's crazy that they got their doctors sort of involved in these fights. You know what I mean? Like, there's a doctor here that's involved with this fight, and Riz Khan, and then Kuba, which is like some Polish doctor on the side of Usyk's side.
Every single individual, whether it's the coaching team, whether it's the medics, whether it's from a management point of view. So we have all the credentials to support Daniel in the background. And from a fighting point of view, the man is sat there 2 years older, 2 years wiser, 2 years more experience with another 4 fights, under his belt. So Daniel Dubois is not even at the peak as a 27-year-old. So we've got another few years left in the tank. But he's going into that ring to take that undisputed crown, and he's ready now.
Okay. Thank you, Riz.
Come on now, Daniel. They said, "Come on now, Daniel." All right. All right. Here we go. Okay, let's go.
Let's bring in Kuba Chucky from the Usyk camp. I understand he's known in the camp as the crazy professor, and is behind some of the science of this man right here. What can you tell us about the science behind Alexander Usyk heading into Saturday?
Welcome, everyone. Thank you that I can be here. What can I say? Alexander is a venom. He's more than ready before upcoming fights. His physical performance, his mental performance is on the excellent level, on the highest level, I think so, in history. I know that he's...
Wow, he says on the highest level in history. So what's interesting about this is they brought in some doctors for them to train for this fight in some real, like, Ivan Drago type of scenario, which is really interesting.
Aging, his health, his experience, his electric issue, fans, media, but don't worry, he's more than ready.
I hate that I can't keep this a secret. I canceled all.
All right, let's see here. Next.
Thank you, Kuba. Let me bring in Don Charles from Team Dubois. Don, you were very vocal at the launch press conference. It was great fun up here, and you're confident. You're very confident that the stars have aligned for your man Daniel Dubois. 48 hours away. Why is he going to get it done?
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, basically, he was born that way. I was born confident. Daniel Dubois was born that way. Yeah. His father, who's not.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know if Daniel Dubois was born confident. I mean, he certainly is confident now, but in the time that he was starting out his boxing career, he just looked very unsure of himself. But in this week, in this fight, this is probably the best Daniel Dubois that I've ever seen, and I don't think that anything less is going to be expected out of him. I think that he's going to do exceptionally well on that regard.
Here with us, presently here with us, like you mentioned earlier, he was the architect. This man had a dream.
All right, we'll get back on that in a second. I'm going to do more. I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a little bit of some racing games here. Just trying to try something new here. We'll get back to that, and then we'll talk more about it. So let's see here.
Use all the cars and tracks to...
All right, here we go. F1 Formula race. Yeah, a little bit, Marty Miller, just a little bit. Fresh Melon Juice says, "Oh, you're a driver now. Had no idea you're a gamer, Kyrie." Fresh Melon Juice says, "We can head to the crib in a little bit. I can show you." Oh yeah. All right. So yeah, man. I'm not much of a gamer, but I dabble, here and there. I dabble quite a bit. Obviously, I don't have the all the latest games. I'm not one of these guys that like goes after like the game. You have to continue rapping. I don't understand. Oh, you mean the song? Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, back to the press conference on this one. Just wanted to show you guys
when
that a little bit.
was born, this young man is going to become a heavyweight world champion. And the way it's been written, the universe, here we are today. He's the current IBF heavyweight champion. Remarkable. At a mere age of 27. I don't think, if you really think about what this young man has experienced to be where he is today, the sacrifices he's always made and still making, it's a prime example for any young person who wants to come into the industry to follow and copy what this young man here has done. And I'm a very spiritualist man in the sense that I believe in the universe. Very spiritual.
Spiritual. You know what people usually mean when they say they're spiritual? It means that they don't like religion, but they like the concept that there is a God. But look, I think all human beings have a natural instinct in them to believe in God in some capacity. But yeah, spiritual, as they say.
And I have my own story, which I'm not going to tell you here because we'll be here till next week. Right? So, but what I can tell you from the experience I've had in the last 24 months, it's been 24 months only since I've been working. I've been blessed to have inherited, I use the word inherited, to be working with this young prime athlete. It's all for a reason.
He says, "This dude sounds like your buddy Zane." Well, they all do. I mean, listen, Fresh Melon Juice, you're from the United States, right? Marty Miller obviously is from Ohio. We all sound alike too. You understand that, right? Like if they heard Marty Miller talk or heard you talk, they're like, "Hey, that guy sounds like Kyrie." Well, no kidding. We're from the same country. Fresh Melon Juice says, whenever there's a boxing fight on, your buddy Zane is probably in a car. Uh, yeah, because he's on his way somewhere. But man, if it's a fight that he's really interested in, then yeah, he's gonna get in front of a TV and and watch what is going on. But there have been times, you know what? I was calling the Leon Edwards Sean Brady fight while he was in the car. So, I was giving him a play by play about it. I think there was another boxing fight going on that night. And so we were discussing that. But then, yeah, I broke the news to him that Leon Edwards, had lost in London to Sean Brady.
And in my opinion, in my beliefs, he's been destined to be here today. He's been destined for on Saturday to do what's almost deemed as the impossible. The impossible will become the possible. That's why we're here. We're ready. I normally got a lot to say, but I'm going to keep it short because all the talking has been done. It's now time for action. Please.
Well, I love how people always say in the press conference, oh, all the talking has been done. No, the talking has not been done. That is what the press conference is for. It is to promote the fight. It is to cause some kind of commotion. It's to let everybody know that you're going to war.
Tune in, those at home, those in attendance, get behind Daniel Dubois. Let's make history together. Come on, let's go. Come on.
And by the way, him and Zayn sound completely opposite. I mean, Don Charles has a little bit of like West Caribbean slash English accent, whereas Zayn has a very street, urban UK London accent. And I've watched enough British films and been around enough UK people to kind of understand the difference at this point.
Yes, yes. John, I've just got one more for you. Just a kind of reaction to Aegis Klimas's comments that Daniel is the same fighter that he was 2 years ago. You can't change the mind, and that there may be mental weakness there. What can you tell us?
Well, everybody has their opinion. That's his opinion. We know what we've done. We know what we've been witnessing. He must have been sleeping for the last 3 fights or so Daniel has had. He must have been fast asleep. Can somebody please wake him up?
And I'm Bud.
Let's count smiles.
If you want to.
Yes. Is it true, Aegis? I didn't hear what he said. He said that you've been.
He said Zayn is a copy of Ali G. All right, well that's pretty much more like it. I mean, obviously Ali G is a fictional character portraying an Arab British man who, weirdly enough, in real life is a Jewish man, right? So I think that's a lot more fitting. Respect. You know how we always say respect. Booyakasha. Booyakasha.
Sleeping for the past 3 Daniel Dubois fights, and somebody needs to wake you up. What is your reaction?
While I was sleeping, Alexander beat 2 times Tyson Fury.
He says, while I was sleeping, Alexander beat Fury 2 times, he said.
Tyson's not here to defend himself. Yeah. Keep your eye on the job. Tyson's not here to defend. We're talking about, this is a Daniel Dubois.
Well, it's kind of a weird thing to say. Well, Tyson is not here to defend himself. I mean, he doesn't really need to defend himself. The guy just said that, well, we beat Fury, and that's all there is really to it.
Okay? So let's
Don't push the horses.
Pardon me?
Don't push the horses.
Hey, well, what's up with Alexander Usyk's hat, right? What is this? Kind of like semi-Soviet looking hat that he has going on. I don't know what's up with that. Look at Daniel Dubois. He's like, whoa. Yeah, look at the eyes, bro. He looks focused and ready for this one. So I told you, man, Daniel Dubois, that is my pick for this fight.
Don't push what?
Don't push the horses.
He says, don't push the horses.
I need a translator.
He said he needs a translator.
Okay, I am translating you. Don't push the horses.
I think he's trying to G you up. Listen, I'm a very cool guy. I'm real.
And then here's Don Charles, like being very matter of fact about it. which kind of shows you the focus of where their team is at. And it's not always indicative just because somebody is joking or wants to have a little bit of a playful banter. It doesn't necessarily mean that somehow they are not focused or this and that. I mean, you look at Craig Jones, right? The guy likes to joke around a lot. He likes to poke fun of different things. Doesn't really take himself seriously, and him and his team win a lot of their jiu-jitsu matches, right? So it's not always indicative of whether the person is focused or not. But for sure, what I see out of Dubois and his team right now is just heavy focus mindset going into this.
Get real.
This illusion. Sorry.
This feels like a good time to bring you in, Sergey. I would say you've been sat there quietly, but you haven't. What do you mean by the comments about horses? And what are your thoughts heading into Saturday?
This illusion.
So they're asking, don't push the horses. And so they're explaining what this expression means.
You every time Dubois team speak, oh, this news, this another guys, oh, this strong, this mental focus. No, this illusion you team.
So I gotta agree with Tim Usyk on that one, right? What he is basically trying to say, Sergey Lapin, the team member of Team Usyk, is saying that all that Dubois always talks about is his mentality, this, his that, and the other, right? What he is saying, Sergey, is that this is all an illusion. So the fact that this is all an illusion, look, I kind of agree with him on that. You always often hear guys say, man, you don't know my mentality, man. You don't know my mentality. These dudes that come from these Instagram hustle cultures and whatnot, it's sort of hilarious how they believe like their mentality can get them through things, or somehow they they somehow correlate a lot of their attributes or a lot of their successes to their mentality, when sometimes it can just be often being tossed up and explained through sheer luck. Um, Marty Miller says, bruv, I put 10K on in, bruv. Yo, you know what, man? So he's asking me about, because Zane he's a casual and MMA. He's obviously a hardcore boxing guy, but yeah, he's more of an he's more of a what do you call it? He's more of a casual in MMA. So he asked me about the Kamzat fight. I told him, dude, listen, as much as I believe in Kamzat for this fight, don't put money on this fight. But lo and behold, watch, who knows? He may just put 10K on on Kamzat again, and he can very well afford it too. So, obviously from the big win that he had, he can absolutely afford to, spare another 10K. But what if Kamzat doesn't win? Right? That would be the biggest disappointment, not only to the Muslim world, but one Muslim who should not be gambling. You know what I mean? I bet on Kamzat now that he's training with Sam. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Yeah, yes. I know what you mean. The the trainer of TJ Dillashaw. Yes. Yeah. That right there, I think solidifies it right there. So you would imagine, man, can you imagine if Zayn right now was to, hear this conversation right now? You would absolutely convince him to go to the bookies right now and drop 10K. I'll explain to him who Sam is and this and that. This is a guy that trains in this kind of way. He understands science and he understands recovery, but also understands how to build your strength and explosiveness on top of what Kamzat has naturally already. Straight away, because you know how British people love to say straight away as soon as they're about to do something, right? Straight away, I went to the bookie and put on 10K, lad. You know what I mean? Like he'll do that. So, Fresh Melon Juice says, I think whoever John Jones is coach is the smartest mind in MMA. You know what? Believe it or not, I think John Jones could probably have done a lot better in his career if he were to go to another team. Now, it's not a disrespect on Greg Jackson in any kind of way. It's just that, I think John has this type of talent where he thrives the more that he changes his environment. Or, look, man, I think the reason why John goes crazy is because he lives in New Mexico where there's not a lot going on. And I understand that's probably good that he doesn't have anything going on down there, but the monotony, I think, is really going to, keep him at a dilapidated situation. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to maintain him. So that's what I mean by him being put in a dilapidated situation, because it's going to be a lack of maintenance to his development, right? For example, what if John was to train with Faraz Zahabi? I mean, that's already a plausibility because, let's face it, right? George St. Pierre trained with him, so there's a connection there. Well, what if he trained with Team Khabib? I mean, that's obviously impossible, which kind of shows you can't train with everybody because obviously Daniel Cormier is in that team. But I'm just saying, right? There would be a different outcome in the way that he trains. So, um, yeah, turn his garage into a gym. True, true. But everyone does that. I think you should. I don't know, man. If you're a true fighter, I don't know why you would not have a gym at your house, right, or a garage in any kind of way. Uh, Marty Miller said, yeah. Fresh Melon Juice says the advice he gave John between the rounds versus Machida, he was controlling John's moves like a game. Okay, yeah, that's true. Marty Miller says, I don't know. They say John has always been wild, even when he was in college in New York. That's very true. For Fresh Melon Juice says, Faraz Zahabi is training John or has been training him. Not on a camp to camp basis, if you know what I mean, right? It's not like, where he's doing it at a camp or this, that, and the other. He's sort of doing it at a capacity where, all right, here's John today, here's Faraz now, let's train together, that type of thing, right? I ran across a lot of different MMA trainers, over the years, right? It doesn't mean that I full time train with them. It just happens to be that I ran across them in the day that they were there. So it's like that kind of capacity. Marty Miller says, "Uh-oh, Bappa Shab just released his 318 podcast with your boy Jesse on fire." Yeah, so you know what? I don't like the move that Brandon Schaub made to Texas. I'm going to be honest with you, right? Now, look, this is not in any disrespect to Texas or anybody that wants to move out of California or finds peace in other parts of the United States, because, by the end of the day, the United States is the United States. And, whether it's north, south, east, west, I can tell you that it's probably in a better high standards in other countries, but you know that. But what I'm saying is that um, uh, what was I going to say with that? Shoot, I lost my train of. Oh, okay. Brendan Schaub moving out from California. Look, it doesn't fit him. It's not his personality. I know that he's saying, yeah, this is great. Yeah, everyone's conservative. Everyone here is go Trump or this and that. Everybody here loves guns. It's Texas. But what we know of Brendan Schaub, I think, gives him, an identity that proceeds to put him where he belongs, which is LA, right? So I don't think it's a good move. Plus, he did it for Joe Rogan. Okay, and now that's not necessarily the best decision, to make, that you move to Texas for Joe Rogan. I'm talking about Brendan Schaub. Uh, Fresh Melon Juice says John Jones trained with Faraz Zahabi, particularly when John Jones was based in Montreal before his title fight against Shogun Rua. Okay, so Zahabi has stated they had trained extensively together. Okay, uh, but not on a daily basis. Like, for example, obviously John lives in New Mexico, so he wakes up, he's in his garage, he can call Donald Cerrone, Carlos Condon, or a bunch of lists of other names from Greg Jackson's camp, right? That's accessible to him, but not on a daily basis that Faraz Zahabi is accessible to him in that kind of way. Schaub definitely doesn't belong on a comedy stage, Marty Miller says. So I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because why is it that we do watch Brandon Schaub's content? Why do we watch his podcast? Not saying the you. I'm saying you out there. In a hyperbole sense that I'm saying, right? So why is it that proverbial? I'm sorry, not yeah, the proverbial you that's out there, right? So we watch his comedy because obviously we're MMA fans, right? We're MMA supporters, observers. So that is the only reason why we watch him. And then for the other fighters who support his comedy career, it's just one of those things where, like, oh man, you know what? You're in comedy now. That's great. You know how fighters are. Fighters have this very strong camaraderie amongst each other, right? So whenever we leave the world of fighting, let's say we get into podcasting. I know a lot of guys that I've trained with, a lot of guys that I've fought, a lot of guys that I've gone against that support me in what I do here with YouTube. They're like, oh, okay, Kyrie's doing a podcast now, so let's support him. That type of thing. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm the best podcaster in the world, and it doesn't necessarily mean that Brendan Schaub is the best comedian in the world, but we support him regardless due to the fact that he's one of the boys. You know what I mean? That's just really what it is. Fresh Melon Juice says he lived in Canada for this fight. GSP made them split. What do you mean GSP made them split? Like split away from Faraz Zahabi? That's interesting. I wonder why he would do that. Maybe it would take some time away from him. Marty Miller says, I almost hate watch it. Honestly, Schaub is most unintentionally entertaining guy in the game. Unintentionally entertaining guy in the game. Yeah, you know what? What Brendan Schaub has going on is he has what you would call the status quo of experience, right? So he uses the status quo of being a fighter, right? Which is very helpful if you want a breakdown analysis. It's probably the reason why I'm able to break down the analysis is because, I'm, very much obsessed with training. I love training. I love learning new moves, new technique. And I love breaking it down, not just in the gym, but also while I'm covering the fights as well. So, that helps. That helps out a lot. Now, does Brendan Schaub really put his efforts into really being the best MMA streamer? The answer is no, obviously, because he has comedy on the side that he has to do. So he doesn't really pay attention or is not tapped into all these other fighters that he could somehow, analyze. Right? He doesn't analyze it the way that MMA Guru does, not the way that I do, not in that capacity, right? Because obviously there's a lot of time that he has to put in on comedy and then podcasting on top of that, which a lot of the podcasts that he does also has nothing to do with MMA. It does if, let's say, you're doing Fighter and a Kid, but they don't really go into fights like that. Well, they do, but not in a linear sense. Fresh Melon Juice says, I guess John didn't want to share with GSP. Okay, that makes sense. Marty Miller says he lies about everything and steals his takes from other analysis. Brendan Schaub, I could see that. Marty Miller says, have you ever seen the Fighter and the Kid subreddit? I've heard about the comments that they've made about Brendan Schaub in these Reddit spots, right? There's this one right now where Brendan Schaub has a video where he got into it with the umpire or whatever. I don't know what they made out of it. I mean, it's no different than any dad that I've seen in like these little league games where they get out on the pitch and they somehow get mad at the referee or the umpire, as they call it, right? This is just standard, but somehow they made it seem like, oh, look, Brendan Schaub, arguing with the referee, like as if that's, I don't know, like they made it a whole lot bigger than, what it should, I guess, but Marty Miller says, if you see some of the Reddit posts, you'd understand what I mean by unintentionally entertaining. Dude is constantly making a fool of himself, but you mean fool of himself. For sure, he does. You know what? I think there's a certain lack of, awareness of social cues that Brendan Schaub has. You could probably toss that up to CTE. And I know that many people try to toss up CTE to a lot of fighters who may be forgetful or maybe a little bit goofy or may not understand social cues. But it's a combination of Brendan Schaub being sheltered growing up, which, by the way, contributes to you not understanding social cues. And then there's also the aspect of double CTE. Not only did he get CTE in the worst sport to get CTE, which is football, but then he also got into fighting where he got his head rung in quite a few times, right? Like, I mean, like really knocked out legitimately. So that can't be good. And that has to have some sort of effect on him to some kind of way. Also, what Brendan Schaub has going on is, how do I say this, right? Like, okay, Ice Cube, right? Why is it that all of you know who Ice Cube is? Well, the reason why you know Ice Cube is because Ice Cube comes from a very notorious rap group in NWA, and obviously that's not uh, really. I'm not really just talking about his solo career after that, but his solo career was predicated on the fact that he is known as this guy that is from the group. Brendan Schaub was in the Ultimate Fighter that was the highest rating season ever in all of the Ultimate Fighters history. So this is where Brendan Schaub has the clout and has the recognition in the podcast world, and it is the reason why he can speak from a status quo experience point of view. Fresh Melon Juice says Joe Rogan. Uh, Miller says, yeah, he acts like he had an NFL career, but he never made a team and only played special teams in college. Okay. Um, that's interesting. Okay, he got Joe Rogan going on. Well, from what I hear right now, I hear that they are in some serious beef with each other right now. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that one, right? That's what I've been hearing from people is that Brendan Schaub and and Joe Rogan have been beefing. I don't know what the beef is about, but once again, if they have beef, that just exacerbates the entire situation of him moving to Texas in the first place, which I thought was not a good idea. I just think that if you're an entertainer, at least an entertainer that is starting out, or you're not in the level of Joe Rogan yet, or you're not in the level of Kanye, or not in the level of Tom Cruise and things of that nature, I think you need to be in California only because there's so much opportunities here for you in order to network and in order to build your brand. Now, obviously, Marty Miller, he's from Ohio, right? Who's from Ohio that came out here to build their brand? It was the Paul brothers, right? They came out here, they built their brand. Not only that, they built a network, okay? And that's primarily the reason why how they ran across my buddy Eric Trilogy, who is the now the nutritionist of Conor McGregor, Logan Paul, and Jake Paul, right? That was all from a California connection and networking that they had. So yeah, man, that's why when I tell you that all these fighters that I know and all these different rappers that I know and all these different people that are from certain parts of California that I know, it's because we have a very small community here, and part of that community building is predicated on networking, which can really suffice you in the world of entertainment, podcasting, and everything in between, even rapping, right? So, Fresh Melon Juice says Joe Rogan is a horrible comedian, and so are many of his friends. So, going back to what I was saying about the status quo narrative, right? Having the status quo, moral, superior ground on certain things, right? Joe Rogan is the same thing. He's a guy that was big during the 90s before the internet. Okay, before the internet, he had a TV deal, right? Nowadays, if guys like myself want to be famous or want to, get a following, this is what we got to do. Go on YouTube. Back in the days, the spots were only for people that were within TV. And then you had to audition that with some million other people. And, you had to fight tooth and nail for it, and then even have to kiss ass to the directors, just to get your spot, right? But that is not the world that Joe Rogan, that is the world that Joe Rogan came from. And then he transitioned into the internet based on his status quo notoriety that he already had outside of it. Miller says, Joe is absolutely awful. Did you see the last special? It was just him screaming the things he says on his podcast. Fresh Melon Juice says, yeah, really bad. That's what I'm saying, right? Joe is not exactly the best comedian. And that's completely okay, right? That's not what we pay attention to him for. And you know what? Here's the thing, right? Joe Rogan is what you would call like the everyday man, right? This is why his podcast is very relatable to a lot of people, because he definitely plays that role as the everyday man role. And as a result of that, he doesn't necessarily um, claim he's an expert at anything, or claims that he's just in the middle of everything, right? I mean, look, there's a reason why Joe Rogan is a centrist, right? There's a reason why he leans center, and that's just how his mind works. So, yeah, he talks about comedy on almost every show while being completely unaware of how unfunny he is. That's a good point. I think it's safe to say that he's more of a comedy historian than he is an actual comedian. Could you agree with me on that? Right? Hit on the comment section below if you agree with me on that. Right? Joe Rogan is a comedy historian more than he is an actual comedian. Right? Like, for example, I'm not a UFC fighter, but I'm an MMA historian. Like that. That's really what it comes down to. He's an MMA historian in a nutshell. So that's Joe Rogan for you. My last comment is in regards to him being the every man. He used to be. I can't hardly stand him anymore. He used to be. I can't. Yeah. I think that he is hitting the stratosphere right now, where he is, world famous. Not only just world famous, but you know what? A guy that literally, how do I say this, influences political landscapes now. Okay, now that's weird to say. Look, 10 years ago, I would have never seen that coming, right? Because, yes, 10 years ago, when his podcast was actually live, when he went on to do lives, not like the way he does now, he, how do I say this, man? He was the everyday man, right? He was down to do lives like this one, right? Obviously, this is live, uncut, raw, no editing, that type of thing. And then, somewhere down the line, somebody got to his ear and said, all right, well, we need to clean up a little bit, because you are Joe Rogan and you're known for being just unpredictable, unformatted, unstructured, random, but let's clean it up a little bit. And then that's when things started to become less of the everyday man. And you know what? He went to a private dinner in Washington, D.C., just to tell Trump, like, I don't like what you're doing with the immigration thing, right? He flat out confronted Trump about it in person, which is, really wild, if you think about it. So yeah, it is unbecoming of being, the everyday man anymore. So yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Um, okay, let's get back to the press conference. Some highlights from the press conference.
Not change. 3 years, no change. You have to.
So yes, this is Sergey Lapin, the team member of Usyk, saying that there's nothing that really changed about Daniel Dubois over the years. I beg to differ. I think there's a lot of changes. I think fighters can change, and people didn't think that he would change after he quote unquote quit during the Joe Joyce fight. But here he is, champion, IBF champion, now fighting for the undisputed championship.
Good 3 fight, yes, and good guys, and good fight in AJ. Saturday, this another fight, and this guy another fight. This not this guy not this planet,
Let me bring you in, Daniel, because you were sort of smirking as they were talking about, oh, he's not changed in 2 years. You have changed, right? Tell us.
So there it is. He's going to explain to you how he changed over the last 2 years.
Right now, I just want to get it on. You know, I'm going to write my own script now. They've got a script. I'm going to write my own script. I'm going to win these belts and I'm going to be the man.
On August 1st, see Liam Neeson.
So there it is, right? When the world doesn't believe in you, that's what you got to do. You got to write your own script. Marty Miller says Trump said he's at war with Rogan now. Oh, man. Well, what is he going to, what does he mean? Like, see, look, that's, can I be honest with you about that comment? All right, I'm going to pin that comment, Marty Miller. That's a very weird comment to make. I'm going to tell you why. Joe Rogan helped you to get elected, allowing you to be on his podcast. I mean, obviously, that's more of Joe Rogan's pleasure more than anything, right? Having, the former president at the time and current president sit at his desk and speak with him, right? But, what do you mean by war, right? Like, he's a citizen. He helped you get elected. I mean, like, it's very spiteful and kind of childish on the part of Trump, right? Instead of like being a stoic Chad about it, saying, hey, you know what? Maybe Joe Rogan has a different opinion of me. He may not like my policy. He may not like why I do what I have to do, but that's okay. I'm going to appreciate Joe for helping me get elected, but I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And even if he disagrees with it, that's just what it is. Now, that right there is the stoic way of approaching things. Instead of being a child going, oh my God, he doesn't like me, so I'm going to go after him and this, that, and the other, right? It's very childish in my opinion, but nonetheless.
How much comfort do you take from the fact that the last time you threw a punch competitively, it floored Anthony Joshua, changed your life, and that happened?
Fresh Melon Juice says Joe Rogan's political stance depends on what drugs he's on, growth hormones, estrogen, etc. You know what? That is true. I got to tell you, right? Joe Rogan does seem like a very, how do I say this? A level-headed person. But even with a person that is level-headedness and understanding the human complexities of people, you also must understand that he is susceptible to being, how do I say this, swindled in one direction to another. I think that's fair to say, isn't it? But yeah, on any regard.
And right here at Wembley Stadium, you're back there on Saturday. How much comfort does that give you?
You know what? I've been getting a lot of just confidence from my training, what I've done in the gym, the shots I've been landing on the people I've been sparring, and all of that is just inside of me and it's built up, and I'm ready to let it out now.
Deb, can I just add, Team Usyk seem to be hanging on to a notion that Daniel's not changed. Well, I think they are rattled solely because they're using the same line, Daniel's not changed. I mentioned earlier, we built up a big team over the last 18 months. And
Fresh Melon Juice says level-headed people doesn't cry as much as he does. Well, what exactly did he do that, quote-unquote, showed that he cried? Or
Daniel's had 4 fights, and he's been explosive in every single one. So I think for the Team Usyk circus to continue to say, oh, Daniel's not changed, well, we'll see on Saturday night.
Yeah, we see Saturday.
Alexander, are you rattled by Daniel Dubois?
They asked him if he's rattled by Daniel Dubois.
Sort of got under his skin kind of thing.
All right, I'm going to get to Alexander. I'm going to get to him answering this question, and I'm going to head out. Actually crying like a girl, tears. Okay, well, I don't know what examples you are, specifically drawing that from, but okay. Okay.
Irritating, annoying.
It's your opinion.
No, it's definitely not. No.
Maybe, I don't know.
He said that's your opinion, and he's like, no, I don't want that smoke with Daniel Dubois. I don't blame him.
Feel. Daniel, let me ask you this. You're the underdog heading into Saturday. You've been the underdog for a little while. Even Canelo Alvarez has placed $500,000 on...
Yeah, how about that? So you want to talk about the 10K bet that Zane did? How about, Daniel Dubois here, right? Daniel Dubois being betted against by Canelo $500,000.
Usyk to beat you.
Doesn't mean nothing to me. Don't mean shit to me. That.
There you go. That's what a stoic Chad would answer right there. It don't mean anything to me. I'm focused on what I'm going to do, and that's that.
Well, he's going to lose his money, but, I'm just focused now. Let's get on.
Frank with the assistance right there. Yeah, just tell him that he's going to lose his money, and then Daniel Dubois goes and repeats it.
You've talked about making Alexander Usyk feel his age, making him old overnight. Tell us more about that.
It's facts. I know what I've got to do. I'm a young lion, and I've just got to, take over. Be the man, and execute.
Alexander, there has been talk about your age in the build-up to this fight. You are 38. You are 11 years older than Daniel Dubois. Boxing is a young man's game. Father time waits for no one.
He's sad because of his height. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is that what it is? Joe Rogan sort of compensates by being in shape, and he looks great at his age. You can't deny him of that. All right, so guys, I'm gonna head out right now. I'm gonna show you the face-off right here, just to kind of get a bit of some perspective how this face-off looked. And hold on here. Okay, here we go.
Ignite the fairway.
With fireball.
Jiminy Cricket, you don't even have a club in your hand.
About this new Dubois and the confidence that he's been showing in his fights, and the Usyk is a special fighter. Technician, footwork, speed, angles. The thing with Daniel Dubois is to come up something more up here. Physically, he's in great shape. He punches a lot of power, but it's all up here for him. Do you still think there's been a lot of talk about Daniel Dubois' sort of mental strength? Even in those wins over AJ and Hergovich and Miller, do you still think he's lacking something mentally? Or because I feel like he's really locked in now. I think this is a much more mentally. Look at that. I mean, he looks more mentally stronger. And I think what those fights that he's had on his belt, they've only...
I agree. He looks more locked in, and this is the reason why he's going to win this fight. But stay tuned this weekend, because I will be live for the fights. I will be dropping, inshallah, I will try and drop some videos from now till then. Also some live streams as well. It doesn't end here. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next content, in the next video, the next live stream. And go out there, take care of yourself and others, inshallah.